Pluto square the moon by transit. The December 5th coming up direct. It'll be quite strong through 19 and then kind of faded out by 20. This is the timing. So 2018, 17 and 18, really the center of it. Now, Pluto time is truth time. Just as simple as that. And to wrestle with this a bit, I want to recognize that there are truths that we repress, and we need to. The things that we're just not ready to deal with. I would imagine, just to use, Pluto is an edgy planet, so I have to use edgy language. So thinking of that most edgy and miserable of topics, the sexual abuse of a child, it hardly gets more toxic than that. And if we imagine a little girl at age 4 being betrayed by her drunken uncle that way when he's babysitting her, yuck. But by the time she's 15, she might not remember it, although to say she has repressed it is a more accurate statement. She's, of course, affected by it. There's a lot of stories we could tell about how, but none of them are good. Affected by something she doesn't remember. It's existing in her unconscious. Now, again, a strong image. If we were to wave the magic wand over her head at age 15 and restore to her the full memory of what her uncle did, she might hit him over the head with a baseball bat. Forgive my imagery there, but it's possible because the kind of energies that are released with this kind of toxicity are absolutely enormous. Now, hitting her uncle over the head with a baseball bat, it may be what the rascal deserves, but it's going to figure on her curriculum vitae, for the rest of her life. She's not ready to deal with it yet. It overwhelms her at age 15. So how does it go? Who knows? A story. Maybe she's 38 years old and coming out of a catastrophic relationship with a sleazy guy. She goes into psychotherapy and comes to the understanding, the realization, the memory surfaces. And when that happens, she's in a Pluto transit. She's ready. That's what it means. Pluto comes along. A 248-year orbit, so, its arrival anywhere is a big deal. Kind of a rare event. But when Pluto comes along, hits a sensitive point, as it is for you now, it's like telling us, you're ready. You're ready to face something that clearly, directly, and straightforwardly that you were not ready to face recently. I'm not talking about when you were 15. I'm talking about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, something you were not ready to face. Now, what is it? Well, Pluto, natural ruler of the 8th house, squaring an 8th house moon. There's obviously an 8th house component here, and that is sexual. I'm not going to make the assumption that you were abused sexually in this lifetime. I have no reason to know that, except I know the world that we live in and how such things are not rare. But my aim is not so much to put that on the table. I'd rather put on the table something of which I am 100% confident, and that is that in a prior lifetime, you went through that experience we described in the previous reading, and there is an element of sexuality in that, and God knows it was an abusive scenario. I don't think you were a child. And again, not to repeat that whole story, but it damaged you. As we would understand without any difficulty and in full compassion, the understanding of the damage a 4-year-old child sustains in the miserable situation I just talked about, everybody with a heart or a soul would have nothing but compassion for that child. This is why I love metaphysics so much, as we realize there is a childhood of the soul as well as the childhood of the body when we get past the materialist fantasy that this is it, and when we die it's over and fades to black. Once we get past that, so much opens up, including a compassionate understanding for the wound basis of the relational dysfunctions that you've experienced in this lifetime. And you are now ready to deal with them. There's the moon being squared by Pluto. Now, that eighth house moon, it's in the sexual category, but yesterday defining it, repeating it here, it's not just about intercourse. The eighth house is the mysterium tremendum of a couple. Sexual bond, I mean, it's, yes, but not overly physicalizing the word sexual. It's part of it. But the deep bondedness. There are couples we know sometimes, and maybe we say to them, you two are so blessed. I know you've worked hard, but God, you're so blessed. If this is probably inappropriate for me to say, but if you two ever broke up, I think I would lose all faith and love. You know what I'm talking about. There are couples that just seem to have that magic, and wow, that's the eighth house.